Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And let's get into episode 16 and 17 of The Amazing Race Australia.
Yes, we were just saying this is going to feel short with only 2 episodes. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
Thumbs
Yay!
up. Yay! Sort of.
Yeah, bonus episode this week because we had 5 episodes to cover. But I hear that that's not the case next week. Just 3.
3, and one of them is the finale?
No.
Don't lie to me.
That's what I hear.
Don't lie to me.
The finale will be the following week.
Okay.
We're almost there. We're almost there, guys.
I mean, I kind of feel like I would want them to just be all double episodes and just like let's get through it, because it's losing its something with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I want to know what the conclusion is. I don't want any more non-eliminations at this point. Like, let's just get to the end.
These two, I was back into it, these two. Although it was exhausting that it was virtual, which I think we just call this like a mega leg, like a continue racing. But I was into how exhausted they were, how miserable they were.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I'm okay. I'm okay with, I guess, just 2 more weeks.
I guess the reason why is that it's just the whole season. I was really into it, and then obviously all the COVID thing happened, so then I kind of got taken out of it, and then I didn't think it was right that people can just like kind of jump a few legs and come back in, and then take out people that have been there the whole time. And so like there's just so many things about it that like just didn't feel just for me, that like I just want it to be concluded, because there's just been so much frustration around it for myself.
Right. I hear ya. But episode 16 is where we're going to start. They're going to take a bus to Campeche, Mexico.
I mean, I love Mexico.
And this first food challenge is a doozy.
It's rude.
Oh boy. They go hard. Australia's like, we're going to mess with you.
So who would be the taster and the server between us?
Good Lord. We just have to do,
I would end up being the taster, I think, though, because I'd be like, oh my God, we're in Mexico.
You'd be like, I love it. I'm excited. Let's go. I'd be like, great. You go for it.
I don't like bugs.
No, none of this is appealing. Whoever gets stuck with it just has to power through. And for the most part, these contestants do. I mean, nobody's happy here. This is horrible. If you get it wrong, you have to eat a chili. Both of the racers. I mean, that's just icing on the cake here. Such torture.
Yeah, it's such torture. I don't know. I was surprised that we learned that Frankie didn't mind the cockroaches. He thought it was pretty good. But crickets, cockroaches, tarantulas, and scorpions, like, that is not my idea of food that I want to be sampling with my eyes closed. So, I mean, maybe it's better with your eyes closed, actually.
It's definitely better with your eyes closed, but then you have to guess. And so your partner is reading the options, and therefore panic is setting in. If you're telling me, as I'm blindfolded, that it's either going to be tarantula, a roach, no, I'm already like,
Sarah, does this mean that I can't go on The Amazing Race? Because like, I just don't want to have to do that. I know I will.
You'll
but
do
like,
it. You'll just
I
do
don't
it.
want to, though.
No one does, but you just do it. You suck it up.
I don't even want to think about it.
Now, I don't know if because Frankie does say, like you just pointed out, he was like, that one was really tasty, but everybody else is complaining about the roach. So I don't think it was the roach.
Because they said that it could taste the guts.
Yeah, that's not good when it's like juicy inside.
Don't say juicy.
Yep.
Like
guts.
That sound.
So rough. But I was like, no, it must have been a different one, right? Like he'd be like, ooh, those juicy guts were delicious. No, come on, Frankie. It had to have been a tarantula or something else.
But like the furry legs of a tarantula would be tastier.
Oh, ugh.
So gross. So gross.
Oh, it's so horrible. All right. Our hubbies, our married couple, and our church friends are gonna get there first, but then everyone else is arriving. Paco and Maury power through this, and they're gonna finish first. Then the married couple, Heath and Tony, and our church friends, Angel and Frankie, they're gonna get out of there. But we are gonna be left with Tiffany and Cynthia as the last to leave because whichever one was doing this, I believe it was Cynthia, was eating.
Yeah.
She was puking so much. This was so hard for her.
I don't know if I'd puke. Maybe I'd gag just for like the thought of what I was eating. But the things that make me puke are like rancid and slimy. Like that's I can't take consistencies like that really make me very sick. So I think
I think
okay. I'd gag though for sure.
I might puke just because I'm hearing other people puke. Like if you're eating and you hear other people like blah, you might blah. You know, I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
All right. They move on to this pinata challenge, which has an
Brutal.
extra layer to it because you've got this slingshot to knock the pinata down. You've got two of them. Then you can, smash it. But this seems to be just troublesome for some of our teams here.
What? Like, did they not play test this one? Because it seems as though the most challenging part was not having enough, I don't know, is it force to be able to actually knock down the pinata with the ball being slung? And so, like, it shouldn't be that hard if it's part of the challenge, you know? We do learn in the end that Kelly is doing it for 4 hours. I don't think that it should be a 4-hour long task to, like, knock down a pinata and get a bonbon. So
No,
I think that's
a lolly.
A lolly, sorry.
A lolly.
Sorry, lollies.
Is a lolly just a candy across the board? It's a sweet, a lolly?
I would just imagine so. Like they say lollies in England.
Right. And I think
Lolly.
that's just a sweet, right? Like a lolly in the US is a very specific lollipop.
Like lollipop? I think a lolly is a hard candy.
Okay.
Like
a lollipop has to have a stick.
Yeah. I think it's a lollipop without a stick, basically.
Oh.
Is my guess.
But
not necessarily like a circle, but I'm saying like a hard candy like that. Like,
yeah, but if it has a stick, it's still a lolly, right?
But it's also a lollipop.
Oh, okay. There is a lollipop in Australia. Chime in, please.
That I don't know if there's one in Australia, but
you know what? We're really early. The Australians aren't awake yet. I forgot today's an off schedule. So our Australians aren't here to tell us about our lollies.
It's not that early. It's like 9 a.m. on a Sunday.
It isn't. It's like, I think 8.
9, I think. 14 hours?
Oh.
No, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is early, actually. What time is it now? 5? Maybe it's 7.
Yeah. Sweets of all kind. Thank you, Maureen. Okay, so this does turn out to be a little hard for some people, but the cops and parents, Chelsea and Jameis, are going to finish first, then Heath and Tony. Tiffany and Cynthia, who arrive last, are going to just fly through this, which I think goes to your point of like, it doesn't need to be this hard. They excelled at it. But the teachers and the hubbies are going to be the last there as it starts to become dark. And then Kelly and Georgia, after 4 hours, just call it and say, we got to take a penalty. We can't do this.
You know how we feel about penalties. What do you think that you'd have taken a penalty if after 4 hours and it's dark now would you take it and just think that you'll just deal with the penalty? Like, what do you think?
I can't imagine myself ever taking a penalty. Like that's just not in my mindset of going on The Amazing Race. But Yeah, after 4 hours, I don't know. If I can't figure it out by 4 hours, I'm clearly doing something
Well,
wrong.
but he was hitting it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like
Right.
he was missing the target every time. Like, he's hit it multiple times. He just had one that was secured really well, which is I'd be
Well, then what
annoyed.
do you do? Turn to a producer and say, like, "Would y'all super glue mine? Like, what's the problem here? I'm hitting it." Like, they're not gonna adjust it for you.
No,
But if I were on Australia, which however would I race in Australia, but if I were, I would know that I've already spent 4 hours on this. That means my time penalty is not gonna be that long. This we've learned.
that's
So
true.
I might be more inclined to take it after 4 hours.
That's true. In Australia, penalties aren't that bad. So yeah,
No, if
good
you
point.
put the effort into the task and just can't get it, the penalty isn't gonna be that hard. I mean, 10 minutes could still get you out of the race, but
But 4 hours, it's like you're just like, I just want to move on from this.
yeah. Yeah, I don't blame them at all. Cops and parents are running to this next task, but this is when we're going to realize that it's, not open till the next day. We're going to all sort of like shut down and restart the next day. There were a couple references in this episode of Kath and Kim.
Yes.
Do you know that show?
Yes, I do know that
I
show.
love that show. And I was so excited to hear it.
So how I got introduced to that show, first off, my friend Karen, one of my best friends, she's pissed at me because she's like, what, you have not watched this yet? Like, cause like we watched all like Summer Heights High and a lot of other like Mile High was another Australian show that we've watched. And so like, she was just shocked that I hadn't seen it, but I was watching, the Drag Race UK season 2, and
Mhm.
for one of the snatch for the snatch game is where they kind of impersonate other people, and so one of the people did, I can't remember which character is which right now, of Kath and Kim,
Oh
and
my
I was
gosh.
like, who is that, and people are like, oh my god, she was amazing. So I went and like I binged at least a season of it.
Yeah.
I know who they are for sure, and that that mother-daughter relationship.
I
That
love it.
guy.
Look at my cam. Look at my. Oh my God. We say that all the time around my house. Okay. I had to just point that out. I was so excited about Kath and Kim. Our cops and parents are running together. They want to work together, but once they get there, they're like, "Oh, we're shutting down and signing up for the next day." Once the teachers get there, they are just emotional and feel like they're still in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel amazing because like when it comes to nighttime and you're like still doing a task and you're just thinking that you're just taking the penalty so you can move on to the pit stop or whatever and just be out.
Yeah.
Like they've already probably decided that their game was over, and so to see that they have an equalizer, I personally would be thinking like, damn it, we could still have like not got the penalty and just like continued on for until 8 a.m. realistically.
Yeah.
But I would definitely be relieved. Now, why did we need it to have times to run through the city? I thought there was an interesting task because it seemed like it was an open area for it to have like set times that you could like go and look at the houses or like the
They were
walls.
like 3 minutes apart. It was ridiculous. It was just so they didn't trip over each other
Okay,
in the beginning, I guess.
I
Because
guess.
they basically are all there at the same time.
But why did there need to be like why did they have to overnight it and then start at 8 a.m.? I just didn't understand that.
Because that's a
Do
race and that's what they're doing.
Okay, fine. I just thought the task wasn't like you had to sign up to go skydiving. It was like
Right.
something that was outdoors. So it
Yeah.
just didn't seem like something that like had like a gate that you had to open up for people to run through. It just seemed like it was a regular street, you know?
I hear you. I hear you. It's obviously the theme of these 2 episodes with this like virtual
Right.
pit stop is a lot of whoop, stop. Everyone's going to bunch up together again. And uh, I don't know if this is a COVID thing or if this was already pre-planned of
Mm.
like how they wanted to do these 3 mega legs. I know that in the US for COVID precautions, they are keeping them sort of bulked together instead of spread out. And I don't know if after all the teams went down into isolation, they were like, oh, we got to do more of that. Or if this was planned ahead of time. I don't know. But here we are the next day. We're going to paint the town rainbow.
Ooh.
We've got to memorize the colors of this very colorful street, but none of these colors are going to match up to the paint swatches, and all of a sudden, this is a really hard task.
Correct. Well, I was like, so first off, they go through the first time, and they're like, okay, light blue, egg shell blue, whatever. Like they went through thinking that they memorized these colors, and then they had the swatches that they had to go put up on the board. And so I was like, that's very challenging, but okay, like not too bad.
Yeah.
But then they took the swatches with them, and I was like, is that allowed? Like for them to go and like match it up to the actual paint on the wall. And I guess that's what they intended them to do, because apparently some of these paints were very similar, but there was like distinguishing factors on the swatches, so you would know which wall it was. So yes, I was wrong. I was like, I can't believe that they're letting them do that. Makes it so easy, but I think it was their intention.
Yeah, because apparently the photo, basically it's not a paint swatch, it's a photo of the wall, and that's not color corrected. Like it's not accurate. Because they're like eggshell, and they're like, no, it doesn't match any of these eggshell colors, and they had to look for those sort of distinct things. So yeah, I don't know if this task just went wrong or if they were supposed to run back with them, but basically they are going to run around with their paint swatches. They can also take notes, which just doesn't help. I was like, this does seem like the easiest task ever.
And it wasn't.
Not. Yeah. Tiffany and Cynthia, our aunt and niece, are going to finish first. These ladies showed up.
Ish.
Leg 16.
I mean, I'm happy that they're winning a leg. I don't really think of them as part of the race, unfortunately. But I was impressed that they were able to be ahead of all the other top teams.
I think they're in the race now. I don't know. Yeah, we haven't been considering them, but they're doing the work. I don't know. Our hubbies and our church friends, they end up working together, and they're going to finish second and third. And then we have this interesting, like their navigational tools go down, and several cars are going to follow Angel and Frankie to our next task.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Also, this next task was challenging as well. But then I was like, when we first hear, I think it was Tiffany that was like, oh, I just have to paint, search for all the light pink flags or whatever. And I was like, I thought it was all the pink flags. And so I realized
wait, you're on a whole other episode now.
What?
We're headed to On the Ropes.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's exactly what I meant. So On the Ropes, they get there first. Go ahead. Just don't mind me. I'll let you do it.
Don't mind you. Actually, so Heath and Tony are going to arrive here first, even though this whole Angel Frankie, I couldn't tell. Angel and Frankie were like, sure, follow us. But then they were like, we don't want them to follow us. And they take another turn. But still, Heath and Tony are able to get there first. This was all just like, wait, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. But they're all going to get there. It doesn't seem to be an issue. I think they just want to make it an issue.
Yeah, I think it was just like the episode trying to make it seem like stuff is happening and going on.
Yeah. There's only one machine. Okay, there's layers to this. You take a bundle, you get this like strawy stuff from the agave plant. You're hitting it, you're stretching it out, but the braiding machine is your last step. And there's only one. So a line starts to form pretty quickly here. A queue starts to form here. And our married couple, Heath and Tony, and Angel and Frankie, our first two teams to try it, are going to fail. But Paco and Maury are going to get it right on that first try.
I loved it. I was very very impressed that they were, well, what was an advantage it seemed like for, and Kelly and Georgia also learned of this, was that if you're standing in line waiting, you can watch and see what the other teams were going to do wrong. And so what it seems like they were doing was they're like making it too thin, and so it would break, and they weren't able to get their rope to a long enough length. So Paco and Maury were able to kind of see what those two teams in front of them did wrong, and then they were able to execute right away. And I heard somebody say like, they're just so good at everything. And I was like, yeah, they are, aren't they?
They are. They really are. But I think that speaking Spanish was also a helpful thing here, because Paco is saying things to the machine operator, like asking him to go slowly and stuff like that. And I think that that's helpful, but also maybe endearing to the people working there to
feel like they're being spoken to, not at, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Connected with. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think they're more apt to work with the machine and work with that
True.
team to get it out. But yeah, some of the teams are just like pulling to try to make the rope, and then it's breaking. So yeah, so Paco and Maury are going to finish first here. Heath and Tony are out second on their second try. The teachers have been driving around this whole time, and they're going to finally arrive. They are now at the back of the pack. But our church friends, Angel and Frankie, are going to get out third after several tries, it seems like. Our aunt and niece, our cops, and our parents are going to be the back of the pack after this, heading us into a roadblock.
Love a good roadblock. Who's in the deep end? You.
Yeah, I'll do it. If there's no, I'm seeing we've got no ocean around us. I will go to the deep end. Diving into this sinkhole cave. Now, Chantele, have you ever been in a sinkhole? I
don't know. I've definitely been in things that seem like they could have been made thousands and thousands of years ago. When I was in the Dominican Republic, I remember we'd climb up all these kind of waterfall things, and then at the top there was a big water vessel thing that was man-made. So I don't know if that would be considered a cenote or if was too small, but I've definitely been in what I would think would maybe have been a cenote.
Sinkholes are everywhere in Florida. Like there are pools, like there are our lakes. I mean, we have lakes too, but sinkholes, we don't have them inside caves. Like this was a very unique one with a sort of a cave over it. But we as kids would just go to these sinkholes and, swim around, have tree swings into these sinkholes, but they just
go down.
Like they just disappear. Like they're really kind of freaky if you think about them. But as a kid in Florida, you don't think about them. They're also a huge place to dump cars when people steal cars. Ooh. They dump them in the sinkhole because they just go.
They just go.
They just go. And
so definitely, I don't think that there are any of such things in Canada. But yes, my only potential experience has been in Dominican, potentially.
Yeah, no. So I was so excited about this. My husband thinks they're pretty freaky too, but because I feel like people don't grow up around sinkholes, it seems like they're dark, scary. Yeah. But so I love this. So Maury's gonna show up there first, and he's just like straight up having a spiritual moment. He's like, "Oh, I love this. This is amazing!" And he goes in, he gets it, he's loving it, no problems there.
I mean, it looked cool and still and all, but I think that they didn't have any flippers on, and I feel like that would make me a little bit scared.
It would be hard, yeah.
Because I don't love treading water. I don't love being in deep water necessarily without having a ledge pretty close. So I think that you would definitely be doing this one, because I would say that wouldn't be my forte.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to get yourself down deep, but it's clear that helps, at least for me.
Having a mask on is also makes things a little bit less scary for whatever reason. I don't know, because you don't automatically have to plug your nose, I guess.
Yeah. Well, most people are going to do okay with it. Most people are going to sort of be like, "Oh, this is so peaceful and beautiful." It kind of gets you in the mood that you're not allowed to run in this area, so you've walked up and you see this sort of serene area. So Maury's in and out before anyone else shows up. Heath and Frankie sort of come and go. Georgia and Cynthia come and go. And then poor Chelsea might be more in your vibe of like,
I don't
wait,
know if
what
I
am I doing?
freak out as much as she did, but I wouldn't have enjoyed the experience as much as other people did.
But I gotta say, I love Chelsea in this moment because, sure, she's scared. There are things that we're all going to get scared of in our lives. And she's starting that shallow breathing, which is not what you want in a water task. But she's like, stuff it, she says, which is just an Australian term that I love. Stuff it, got to do it for the kids. And she does it.
She does it. And I know you don't have any water in your eyes, but I got a little watery-eyed.
Oh, was I supposed to be emotional here?
I got a little bit emotional here. Just a little tinkle of water here.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I just, you know that like I have a little bit of a sucker for people overcoming things, you know? And so the fact that like she was scared and you see her panicking and she's kind of waffling between like, do I quit or do I do this for my kids? No, I want to show my kids that I'm going to be able to do this and overcome this. And she does. And like that makes me, my eyes watery.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like I wrote, you know, good girl with 3 exclamation points. Like
that's your eye watering?
Yeah. Instead of getting emotional, I was like, yeah, you get it. You know, yes, I'm always so excited when someone doesn't get caught up in the fear and they are able to overcome. So you just have a heart. I have Mars. Okay.
No, it's all my cancer rising. It's just
yeah, Maureen, I saw those camera people down there. I thought those were some really cool shots that you see the other people with like a camera following them underwater. It was very neat.
Yeah, I went scuba diving that same trip to Dominican and it was gorgeous. And it was really, really cool. But I will never intentionally do it again unless I'm on like the challenge or the Amazing Grace because it's also terrifying. Like, have you scuba dived before?
No.
Scary. I thought it was scary.
Yeah.
But like also like my instructor was like really mean to us. Well, like got a kick out of the fact that we were scared.
Like
and so like he like smashed like a banana on like my mask. It's like the fish would just be coming like this, and I'd be like, I want to go up.
No.
And then the guy that the reason why we're going to do this scuba diving, he was a regular customer at the place where we worked, and he was a master diver. And he's like, you guys have to do it. You're gonna love it. I'll come with you. But we started the day out on a catamaran, and so buddy boy, Mr. Dive Master, gets seasick, but he didn't want to leave us alone, so he still goes under with us, and he's barfing underwater, like taking out his defibrillator or his I forget what they're called, and like the fish are just attacking all of his barf as he's barfing into. It's just like, this is not what I want to do.
That's dangerous
for him. Yeah, I mean he is very experienced, so he was able to do that. But just like looking back, and it's all like slow motion, you just hear like the. And you look back and you just see this guy just being attacked by his barf by fish. It's just like
this does not sound like a fun experience at all.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good story.
Okay.
I like a story.
That's true. All right. Well, so here is our first virtual pit stop. We are walking because we can't run from this sinkhole dive to the pit stop. Paco and Maury show up first, but Bo is like, he, keep racing. Get out of here. And they're like,
I mean, this really wasn't too bad, but like I would just sometimes you just want like the end of the race to be so you can regroup and reset. And so yeah, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, we're still going.
Yeah, I guess so, because you really see it on their face. Like, I guess at the end of a race, whatever that release is, and you get to like go to a hotel. I mean, even though they are going to sleep at some point, it's just clearly not the same type of sleep when you're in the
sleeping
middle of
before
a race.
You have to go at 8 a.m. to like finish a task. It's not the same as like starting fresh a new leg.
Yeah. Heath and Tony come in next. I mean, these are not really numbers. So Heath and Tony, then Angel and Frankie, then Kelly and Georgia are going to show up, but Bo is going to give them a 10-minute penalty at this point, make them stand to the side while Tiffany and Cynthia show up. They're told to keep racing. And this is like the first time Kelly and Georgia are like, wait, what? We're not checking in? Then
Yeah.
they get to
I was wondering if
basically
they were going to move them out of the way so they wouldn't be
to hear
like
that.
hear
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, but then you see
Mhm.
like Bo pull it out of his pocket, and I was like, oh, okay, cat's out of the bag, or
Yeah.
Clue's out of the pocket. You know.
Exactly. So they're going to get out of there. And then Lauren and Steph, our cops, come through. And then Chelsea and Jameis, they are very far behind. You can tell they are exhausted. Chelsea just like pushed herself to do something scary. They get to the mat and that's it. They are so emotional and upset to be what they think leaving.
And these few moments were there, and in their confessionals after this moment, like she was very, very sweet. And another thing that he was saying about her, like, oh, she's my girl, like that's my girl. And I was like, oh, it's still so sweet. She's so rotten sometimes, but you still love her, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they had been, these past couple legs, like they're doing so much better.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they have these sweet moments, and you're like, oh my God, like, oh my God, Chantel's crying.
I'm sorry.
The moon is in like Sagittarius. Like, why are you crying right
I
now?
don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. But it is nice to know that like they do have a connection. Like they do care about each other, even though we were like, what's this relationship
Yeah.
for a bulk of this race? Yes, don't let me forget that Angel and Frankie took their rope, tied
Oh,
themselves together.
I was like, what's happening here? And then all Bo's like little
Yeah.
things to the guy that was at the mat with him. And he's like, oh, so do you ever use any rope to like tie up your partner with? And so when I was thinking about that, I'm like, well, like look at Frankie and Angel and their rope and like walking around and tying each other together with the rope. And I'm like, maybe she just doesn't know that she's in love with him.
She's fighting it. She's real fighting it. But I think
maybe they're both Christian virgins.
well, after being tied together with a rope, I think we're moving forward, guys. I think it was a sign that they're okay to get a little closer.
You think they took the rope back to their hotel room?
Yeah. I mean, they left it in the edit where I think it was Angel was like, what are we going to do with this rope, Frankie? And I was like, what are you going to do with that rope?
Yes.
Do tell.
What do you want to know? Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, Chelsea and Jameis, you ain't out quite yet. You are still racing and they have to get their, selves together to move on. But that takes us to episode 17 if Chantele can pull herself together.
I'm sorry, it's watery eyes. This is watery. I'm here.
Okay, let's go to Merida, the White City in Mexico still. And we're going to learn that we have a double U-turn. And what I love about this U-turn is that the first two teams are required to do it.
I actually didn't pick up on that, which interesting. And so that actually makes things a little bit different with what happens later on in the episode, because I was like, if they have to do it, like they had to choose somebody, so like there's no reason to really be mad, especially at these people. You know what I mean? But
right. I mean, I guess you can be annoyed at who turns you, but it is just the game, so I don't think you really can be too mad.
Like, so annoying, but
at this point, yeah, exactly. But what's really confusing, and I'm not realizing this at this point, but by the time we get towards the end of this U-turn
doesn't matter.
Has no effect.
It's
on this leg whatsoever.
Pissed me off to no end. Well, firstly, why did we lose the meaning of the U-turn, right? They stopped doing it appropriately in the US, where it's like you do a task and then the U-turn board, and then you have to go back and do the other task. So they received the U-turn before doing either task, so then they
Mhm.
could choose which task they were going to be doing first. And then I forget off the top of my head how it was inconsequential, but then it becomes inconsequential. What was there? A sleep portion in between. Like I can't remember what happened, but
Yeah,
I was
because
mad.
after these teams do the U-turn, everyone once again is going to show up, have to sign
Right.
up for the next day, go to sleep. And so there was no point for a U-turn
Mm-mm.
to be on this leg. Again, this makes me think because of COVID, because of all the teams who went out in isolation, did something change in the race at this point to make this happen? Because otherwise, why in the world are we U-turning two
Just
teams
to make
for
them do the task, both sides of the detour. Like it really didn't. Why did you need to do that? If everybody's going to be bunched up again,
yeah,
why did it matter? And then there's still be an elimination.
it yeah, no. The U-turn needs to be on the part of the leg where they don't bunch up, go to sleep, and sign up for the next morning. You just flippy-floppy something so that a team gets U-turned and then they end
They're
up
racing
going.
to stay in the game, not racing
Yes.
to sign up for a task in the morning or
Yeah, it
sign up
really
racing to go to sleep.
yeah, it was so bizarre. It just made no sense, and ultimately, it's going to just make people mad at another
And
team.
maybe that's what they want out of it. But also, like I was really impressed because I already said it at the beginning of this recap, was like I think there's a little bit of unjustness for the fact that there's some people that have run the entire leg or the entire race and some people that weren't experiencing the entire race. And so Paco and Maury, that was something that they were considering. They're like, hey, I don't think that I can U-turn people that have been with us on this race this entire
Right.
time. I'm going to have to U-turn a returning team. And so, like, I was like, I feel the same way. Thank you, Paco and Maury. And not that I specifically wanted anybody that was returning to go out, but I felt that this was kind of just in a sense. And so for the fact that it didn't even matter, I was just like, why
Yeah.
was it part of the episode?
Right. Yeah, when I heard Paco Amori say that, I was like, "Oh, it's a Chantele strategy. They're on board with her." Yeah, so the hubbies, they decide to U-turn the cops because they were going to show up first. And uh, assuming that this U-turn matters in the race at this point, I thought that's actually a pretty good strategy because the cops are probably the best of the returning teams,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the teachers, but you also have to be mindful of where people are in the order at this
Mm-hmm.
time. And the cops should be towards the back of the pack because that's where they finished the day before. So trying to get a decent team that's in the back of the pack is the way to go
Mm-hmm.
because
And then I
ultimately you're
also
hoping they leave.
even liked the fact that Tori and Heath, they like the cops, which I think everybody does, but they wanted to give them the best shot. And so with their selection, like they're like, well, I think that putting these two people up would allow them to have a better chance in staying, even though
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
right. But if we think it matters at this point, that is also a great strategy. Like, I don't think you turning Tiffany and Cynthia in general is necessary because I think of them as the weaker of the returners. But if you're like, oh, I need the cops, I like them, I want to work with them, I need to give them a chance, then Tiffany and Cynthia would be the team I would think of. And thank goodness no one U-turned Frankie and Angel, being like, let's try to get
I
the
mean,
strongest team out.
we would be having a discussion. I'd be like,
Woo!
no, we need to take out the teams that haven't been there. And you'd be like, no, we need to take out Angel and Frankie.
But like that's risky to try to take them out if they're not, towards the back of the pack
True.
anyway, because they can probably
power through
save
it.
themselves, on a U-turn. So anyway, this is before we realized this was pointless. The detour is cactus or chorus. The cactus is making cactus tacos, which I was like, oh, yummy. I've never had a cactus taco, but that sounds delicious.
I think I have.
Or chorus is performed La cucaracha, la cucaracha.
La, 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 la. You know cucaracha, it's cockroach, right?
Yes. That's why this is one of those songs you learn as a kid, because who doesn't love to sing about a cockroach when you're a kid?
Yep. Cucaracha, la cucaracha. I also love though that Paco or that more. Oh man, I messed up the names. Maury already knew the song, and he's like, I think those are the words. And like, it's something that everybody kind of experiences. It's like you think you know the words to a song, but like you don't actually know them. And so I thought that was cute. He's like, well, that's what I've always thought that the words were. But
I mean, he's ahead of most of us because he speaks Spanish. But yeah. So yes, so our hubbies are going to go to chorus, and it kind of seems like it's a little bit harder than you think, because they're just like listening to, Spanish, which Paco knows a little bit of it, but getting all of the words does seem to be difficult, and they don't get it on their very first try. But our married couple, Heath and Tony, our teachers and our church friends are going to head to the cactus first, and we see them making their tacos. Paco and Maury are going to be able to nail this on their second try and get out in first place, though.
Go boys. Go.
Heath and Tony go out first from the cactus, so they're in second. Then Angel and Frankie. Tiffany and Cynthia, our aunt and niece, they leave as we see Chelsea and Jameis arrive to the cactus making the taco. And obviously Tiffany and Cynthia know that they've been U-turned at this point. Like you said, they get to choose. We're going to do the tacos first and then go to the song. The cops, however, also, they do the opposite. They want to go to chorus first. They don't do too bad. It seems like not too hard. And then they move on to the cactus. And then the aunt and niece, they sing with no feeling whatsoever. In true Tiffany and Cynthia fashion. But they still get passed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but like, the only time they showed a little bit of energy was when they're irritated about the U-turn.
That's true. They got pretty riled up about this.
More so, we're not even the strongest team. Like, why do we? And I was like, okay, there's a little bit of a personality there. Okay,
yeah,
interested.
They got real mad. Yeah, I was like, let's get pumped up, guys. What's up? But then right back to making tacos like this, singing La Cucaracha like this. And then off they go. It's just, but everyone gets past pretty easily in both of these tasks. Mm-hmm. And here we are realizing that they are just signing up for the next morning for the Day of the Dead face painting to open. And this is when I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's exactly what I wrote down. I'm like, equalize after double U-turn?
Huh?
I'm like 8-3 for face painting. Like, I was so irritated.
So bizarre. These producers were like, we're just gonna get people mad at the first two teams.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe they wanted to put a little quarter in Tiffany and Cynthia and see if they'll give a little attitude. But like, it wasn't worth it, I don't think.
Yeah. No, it was Cynthia, I believe. Cynthia, the younger one, the niece, who didn't like her singing voice, much less her voice. And I was like, oh, so you're watching this whole show and you hate your voice. But I feel the same way. I can't listen to my voice either. It's awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, you don't do voice work?
I do, actually. I am the voice of the California State Health Department. I can't stand my voice. I also do regular podcasting, but I I don't like listening back.
Interesting. I mean, I got over that like 20 years ago. I remember at one point I didn't like hearing the sound of my voice, but now I know what it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
It's also like even pictures. Like now I'm like, people are like, "Is it okay? Can I post it?" I'm like, at this point, I don't care. Like I know what I look like. Like,
Yeah.
and then like I know that that's a bad picture of me or a good picture, whatever. Like I'm not too fussy anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I'm shocked that anybody listens to my voice. I think
it's beautiful. The State
oh, it's
Department
beautiful.
loves you.
It's so crazy. Oh, anyway. Okay, Day of the Dead. This was cute. This was fun.
Fun.
Face painting. They get to pick 4 different versions or whatever, and they both have to do it. And here we are, Tiffany and Cynthia excelling.
Who knew?
Tiffany is a straight up artist, and it doesn't slow her down. Like I think, because I'm kind of artistic, I would get into it and do well, but I might take too long because I'd be like, oh, and then this, and then that, you know. But Tiffany was able to do it beautifully and fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an artist. It's not one of like my God-given talents, but I've taken art like as an elective since I was 9 years old. So I know how to draw and like I understand like light and depth and how to shadow and shade and stuff like that. So
Sure.
I think I'd make it look good, but it wouldn't be that easy for me. But I think it would be pretty in the end.
Yeah, it would be better than some of these. Some of
It
those
would
were
be a lot
pretty
better
rough.
than some. How like why is it so bad? Like what, you've never thought about doing like an outline first and then coloring in the outline? Like I was like, what's happening here? Like it's just
Yeah.
like
Some of them are just like,
like try to make it look good. Just like make it simple.
But they're not going to get judged too harshly as long as you basically copy the design. So basically everyone is there painting at first, except for our cops and our married couple. They still are driving around having a hard time finding this place. Tiffany and Cynthia are going to finish first with beautiful faces.
So they're really good.
Chelsea and Jameis come in second, and then Paco and Maury out third at this point. But Heath and Tony will end up being second to last, and Lauren and Steph, our cop couple, will end up being last out of this challenge.
Before that, I think it was on the, well, actually, I'm not sure where it was, but did you notice when Angel was like, what are paper maps? I feel bad for my parents.
I did write that down. I missed that. She said, we're millennials. And I was like, millennials aren't young anymore.
Yeah, millennials are 40.
Millennials had paper maps. That was not
Definitely.
The olden days. You grew up with a paper map.
You might have been a baby, but there was a paper map in your life.
Yeah. My sister is a millennial, and she learned when she was 16, she didn't have an iPhone. Like iPhones.
Yeah, iPhone was 2007. So
yeah.
like.
No, honey. What is this? You don't understand a paper map. That actually is a reflection on you and your lack of skills. And so don't make us
like, dude, when people are like, who goes to the library? I was with you on our when we were doing the challenge recap when someone in the chat was like, I was saying like, yeah, every day I used to use the newspaper with like the crossword puzzle and Sudokus, and people like, we don't have newspapers. I was like, did I out myself by a newspaper?
Yeah. I remember the days when I opened up a newspaper and I played the crossword puzzle.
Of course, I take out this E section or the games. Like,
yeah.
I loved it. Or like doing like the find which one is different. Like there was a whole bunch of different games that were in there, and each day had different difficulty levels. And Friday the crossword puzzle was really hard because it was the New York Times one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't miss a newspaper. I don't.
No, I didn't like get it on my fingers, to be honest. But
yeah, there's plenty of, phone games now that I don't need to do.
Wait, are there? I'm going to go and look now. Are there newspapers still outside? Like, we used to put like money in and like get out a newspaper. Like,
like a machine or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have them on the curbside like they used to. Like that used to be such like phone booths used to be such a thing. We don't have those anymore.
There's still a few around, but
Really?
yeah, there's a few. I remember, okay, so just it's a bit of an aside, but we're almost done here.
Yeah.
So I remember like to hack the system because I didn't have like a cell phone back then. I think it was still only a quarter for a phone call. So I would make a collect call to my mom. And when she picks up the phone, I could still talk and she could hear me, but she doesn't have to start talking. Mama, you can pick me up at the blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
and I would just like scream where I was, and then she'd just come and pick me up. Like that was my cell phone or my pager.
I definitely remember that because if you called collect, it would say your name.
Right.
And
That's exactly what I did. Yes, you're right.
You're supposed to be like, it's Sarah. And then they'll play that for the person and say, do you accept this call from Sarah? But instead you just say, pick me up at 3. And then they'd be like, it's pick me up at 3. Do you accept this call? And you're like, no. It's free. Thank you. I'm going to pick her up at 3. Yep.
So that was a North American hack, I guess, because always did that. That was before cell phones existed, or maybe not existed, but were easily accessible.
Right. No, we had this chat in our patron Discord about this paper map. Someone else was offended by it, and so we had a whole talk about like who uses paper maps still. And
you were talking about the book, and I remember I did have the book at one point. It was always in the car. But I would like definitely have used. It's probably still in my mom's car. A book to be like, okay, where am I going? Okay, how do I get there? Okay, okay. So and you know what? It actually helps me know the city very well. Like I haven't been driving in Toronto in forever, but I still know secret routes. Like I know how to get to certain places just from like muscle memory because I actually had to learn these routes to get places instead of just like listening to a voice telling me to turn right.
Yeah, I think it's not really about like who had paper maps because I was just making fun of Tim and Rex on American Amazing Race because they both were like, we're not good at paper maps either, and it like that's obviously not an age thing. They're our age and older, so it's either if you're good at directions or not, right? So those who are good at directions can look at a map and get it and know which way to go and know how to like take a detour or whatever. But if you're just not good at it, once GPS came around and someone was like, turn left here, they were like, oh, great. Just tell me to turn left because I don't get it.
Well, the one thing that I think would happen if I were to use a real map right now, if I didn't have like glasses, I'd probably be pinching out the paper. That's something that I noticed. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like an old person thing to do. Trying to zoom in on like a magazine or a piece of paper. Like,
that's not. You can't say that on that. No.
But still furthering down on this tangent, is Tim your witness protection program high school friend?
Yeah, so I asked him if he'd ever lived in Tallahassee, and he said, no, I grew up in Buffalo, and now I live in Tennessee. And so I was like, oh, okay, I think I went to high school with your doppelganger, haha. We just had like a quick joke. But I told in my Discord, I was like, clearly he's in witness protection because he told me he's from Buffalo. So it's clearly that's what you say, right? He can't admit to ever being in Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to see a side-by-side picture now, if we can find it.
I know. I was like not close with this guy. We're just like friendly. I don't know where he is or what he's doing, but now I need to,
get on
track
that
him down, I guess.
Look.
I'm like, do you still exist? Are you around?
Probably.
That'll be the last point. Okay. All right. Well, we painted faces, right? And now we are going to a roadblock called Who's Strung Out? Well, that could be anybody. I have no idea what that's going to be.
You're strung out, no?
All right, sure. We got to count the pink flags. And this would be hard because there's I think he said 3,000 flags. This is a lot of flags. Yeah. They're hung together. They're moving around with wind. I'm sure it will like start to blend together at some point.
Challenging. I was trying to think, how would I do this to make it easy? Well, it seems like they're allowed to have a pen and paper. So I think I would just go row by row and write down like row 1, how many pink, and just go it systematically and then add them up at the end. I think that's how I'd do it.
Yeah. That's a great way to do it. As long as you still don't lose track of what row you're on, because it is really, they're so close together. You're
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's the hard part, but I'd also
yeah.
probably do like markers, like being like end of blue door is like at number 9, and so you know what I mean. Just so like if I have to recount it again, like I can keep track of it. But
Right.
it would be challenging. That was just my only thing to maybe do it systematically, but I don't know if it would have worked.
Yeah. Well, Tiffany is there counting first because they are in the lead. But once everyone starts to get there, everyone is just basically going to start guessing. I mean, we saw like 66, 72 in that range. And then Jameis was like 140.
I thought there would be a higher number though than what the actual number was. Obviously I couldn't tell, but out of 3,000 flags and there was what, like 5 colors, I thought that there would be more pink ones.
I thought so too, but clearly 100 and something is way off, Jameis. You are way off. But now everyone is just guessing. And I thought, do Chantel's system where if you start at 75, then the next one is 76 and 74, 77, 73. But they're all just randomly guessing, it seems like, per this edit.
I don't know how I felt about that because I was like, I definitely thought that the number was going to be higher. So I was just kind of like, what? You're just going to start guessing? Really? And I'm like, and then you're just going to allow everybody to copy your answer once you get it? Like, I just thought it was very strange.
It was bizarre that they all obviously were just giving up and throwing out random numbers at this time. But
Heath and Tony?
Tony, yeah. Like, lost my note. I was like, Heath and Tony. Tony is going to get it first. And then they just all tell everybody. There's no, I was like, which team's not going to get this answer? No, they all got it.
And this is why it all doesn't make sense, because they had the U-turn, then they had them sleep or like be equalized to do this task.
Yeah.
Then they all end up working together on this task. And so then they're completely just bunched up at the end for the pit stop.
The pit stop. Literally, we are all together. We've just now told everybody the answer. This is not how the producers pictured this at all. But they have all told each other the answer, and they are all just running out at this time. And, you know, they have to drive, but you're basically like racing with your car and then a foot race to get to the end here. Except for Tiffany and Cynthia.
I like a good
very slowly
foot race, obviously, but not when it's all the teams and someone's gonna be like, it just doesn't work well. Like 2 teams running at the end, like to either get first or last place, fine. But like 5 or 6 teams all bunched together and like you can't get around the other person and you're out of the game. Like, I don't know. It didn't work for me.
Well, this whole thing just didn't work because we were like, wait, a U-turn and an equalizer and like what's happening? I don't mind if all 6 teams are running up there together. It's going to stink for that person who didn't make it last. I mean, at one point, was it Frankie who cut another team off with the car? But then I think then they didn't let them move over. Like, I'm okay with all that.
Dangerous. I mean, thank goodness everybody's safe.
Very dangerous.
Fine. I can get behind it, but you know, I just was irritated that like it could have just been a little bit well paced. Like the whole leg was just not well designed.
Yeah, there definitely seem to be some issues here, but Kelly and Georgia, our teachers, are going to show up first to this pit stop, this mat. They're going to win a trip, something about coral reefs.
Yeah, I just won a trip. I didn't write down anything.
Sounds exciting. Good job. But Bo's like, you ain't done yet. Keep it going. And they are so exhausted.
I mean, but if they get asleep though, they are like, it's daytime, you know, like it's probably like noon maybe. So it makes sense that they're still racing, but
yeah, they just woke up to do the face painting. They have barely been racing.
It's so silly.
But apparently, like racing the day before and then racing the day before, I guess is more
I'd be
exhausting.
pissed if like I just would like want it to be concluded. Absolutely. It
I
would be
guess.
exhausting to be like, okay, we just need to get to the mat and then we can rest and recuperate, regroup, like figure out how we want to tackle the next task and you know what I mean? Get resettled. So the go of it like would be like, oh man. Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
Heath and Tony going to get in second place, even though Tony had the correct answer and told everyone the answer. Here she is coming in second, but it doesn't matter because you're still racing, and off they go. Angel and Frankie come in next, third-ish. Then Paco and Maury. I'm like, y'all, why y'all in the back of the pack here?
Because it was a foot race. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but like they aren't the fastest on by foot, and also even like Angel and Frankie are usually faster, so I think that they just didn't get out in front. Maybe they couldn't find parking, and then it was a foot race, and so
yeah,
I can't really blame anybody for not doing well at this point, at this part.
Steph and Lauren, they're going to come through the pit stop. Then Tiffany and Cynthia are going to slowly mosey up to the mat. And Bo is going to once again say, can you guys smile?
Can you be happy about this?
You look like you're excited that you're still racing.
And then they're still just like, okay.
And they're like, not really. They just walk off. Like they don't even laugh with him. How are you not laughing with Bo? How are you not? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Are you having fun?
I guess maybe it's just really just not in their personality to be enjoying themselves or like having a good time. But like that's another reason why I was a little bit disappointed by this episode. I know that you're not the biggest fan of the team that comes in after them, but they wanted to be there more than it seems like Cynthia and Tiffany do. And I'm just like,
I don't know. I honestly can't tell because yeah, I would agree that they don't seem like they're enjoying their race, but then they say things like we're not ready to go, and they've been excelling. Yeah, they've been excelling at these tasks. Like they're putting the effort and the work into these tasks and getting them done. But I can't tell if they're enjoying themselves or not. You know, it's just so bizarre.
Just, like I love personalities. You know what I mean? Like even so, like for instance, like Cody from Survivor, like he's quite annoying, but like I prefer him to be a little bit annoying than to have zero personality at all. You know what I mean? Like at least
I loving Cody from.
I know you do.
He's a Sagittarius.
I know.
He's such a classic Sag too.
I know. I did the feedback show with Rob yesterday. We talked about.
Oh yeah, I listened to some of that. He's probably like a triple Sagittarius. Like he's got so much. He's oozing Sagittarius.
I didn't fully know that Rob was going to ask me about like his signs and stuff like that. Like he kind of alluded that he might, but like I wasn't as prepared. And I wish that I realized that Jesse was also a Sagittarius because that would make a lot of sense. And I was like, I didn't realize it until after.
I've got both Cody and Jesse on my Sagittarius team.
They could they could take it to the end and it'll be chaotic, but I can see them because I was like, why are they staying together? Like I would be like, that would be such a red flag with him, like doing the beware advantage and nearly like messing everything up. I'd be like, oh my God, you're a little bit of a liability, but Jesse loves that vibe probably. So
yeah,
they definitely might be a duo to the end.
JS, I don't think we're getting more footage of them because they're not giving us character, right? Like you got to give us character to be on TV. And, you know, if it's to the point that Bo, the host of the show, has like multiple times asked you guys to like bump it up.
Like I'm sure the producers are saying, Bo, can you see if you can get a reaction out of these people?
Like, they're giving us nothing. Bo's probably like, are they okay? Like, why do they seem so miserable? And the producers
should we just
like,
eliminate them so they can go back to their life?
It's so bizarre, but I'm like happy that they're doing well. But here we are. That leaves us with Chelsea and Jameis, who are going to show up last. I don't know. I haven't looked up Tiffany and Cynthia's information.
We could probably do it now because we won't be spoiled since we're up to date.
True. But Chelsea and Jameis, I mean, it's a continuing racing, so I wasn't really worried about them, but Bo is going to go ahead and eliminate them at this point.
At first, I wasn't, but then I think I heard him say, "But one team will be eliminated."
Will be eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm sad for Chelsea and Jameis to go because we have gotten to know them and they are, they're getting better. Chelsea is doing much, much better. And I do wish them the best in their life. Like, I hope that their relationship has
I
strengthened
think so.
and that they've
And when she
learned
watches it back, she's gonna be like, "Oh my goodness!" And I think she will have a little bit of like a reflection, self-reflection, and be like, "Okay, like I know we're doing a lot of this for our kids, but I don't know if I want to see our kids to see me treat their father this way." And so I think that
right.
she might have a moment of like, "Wow, I didn't realize that that's how it's coming across."
Yeah. But like we kind of talked about this before, like I'm okay with Chelsea and Jameis going. I think they've done a lot.
Mhm.
And they still make mistakes. So I don't think that they need to be in the final, but I'm definitely glad that they're not leaving with me being frustrated with them like
For
I
sure.
was last week.
Yeah.
That I feel, that they've kind of redeemed themselves and became softer people.
I just would have liked if Tiffany and Cynthia were a little bit more like, "Oh my god, I'm so like." Then I would be able to let Chelsea and Jameis go a little bit more easily, just because like if somebody was fighting to be there as well, but just seemed like other people weren't fighting to be there, and like they're like, oh, "Okay, I guess we're still in this," and these people are like wanting to be there so badly. So that's kind of where I was just like, I want them to stay over these two at this point.
But you know who else is not giving me excited to be there is Angel and Frankie. Now, I'm not ever going to question their hustle because they are a very strong team. But like they show up on the mat, if they're not first, they're like,
I think
you know?
they think that they got it in the bag. And like I think we might see a new side of them if they were like think that they're last and they think that they're out. We might see a little bit more like, oh my gosh, like I want to be here. I think it's just because they've always been safe. They've never
Yeah.
really been in any danger.
Yeah. And I don't think they like to be anything less than first place. So I think they're legitimately
Irritated.
not happy. But I still need to see,
Some
yeah, I think ever since the
hunger.
split and she had to like travel through Mexico. Where was she traveling? Like I
She
was
traveled
just
to Mexico, through Mexico to
Belize, or right?
Virgin
Was
Islands,
this
Belize.
I think it was back in Belize, but yeah, when she had to do that, that really definitely shook her and threw her and I can't even imagine. But yeah, and plus they've raced every leg. Like so I think people are getting exhausted now and stressed and frustrated and uh but so yeah, we lost Chelsea and Jameis instead of a returning team.
I mean,
I'm okay with
I'm
it.
sure they have fans, but what if like Kelly and Georgia win the season? Wouldn't that just like really irk you? It would irk me so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel if a returner wins.
I think I'd be fine with the cops winning.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think I'd be. Maybe it's because I like them better. I don't know. I'm not sure, but them two, and then Cynthia and Tiffany, I would be very irritated if those two teams won. Cops, I don't know. I could be okay with them.
I gotta say, Kelly is getting on my last nerve. That man cannot stop telling Georgia what to do.
Yeah.
To the littlest thing of like, breathe, calm down, go left,
Oh,
read
and his
this.
voice,
It's
I
just
can't.
like, it's a lot, buddy. And I kind of feel like Georgia is just trying to keep her mouth shut and get through it. But that maybe when the cameras are off, she's like, dude.
Is she though? I
She's
don't know.
not, I don't think she's vibing with it. It doesn't seem like she's all, yeah, babe.
Well, yeah, we
She's
guess
just
we got a
like,
hint of that
mm-hmm,
when the braiding
mm-hmm,
situation, when she's just like, "Don't
mm-hmm,
talk, shut up if you don't do anything." Like,
mm-hmm.
so
She's giving us a lot of like tight jaw, to him. And I was like, yeah, he needs to take a
simmer
breath
down.
and take his own advice and him calm down. And maybe that's what
Gosh.
he's doing, telling himself, but he's telling Georgia.
can't find any birthdays. Like, people just need to get on top of like having your birthdays be online. Like, just make it easily accessible, please.
So I reached out to 10 Play Press and asked to talk to Flick and Gabby. I wanted to speak with them. They have not responded to me, but I tried, guys. I tried.
Oh, that would be lovely. But maybe
Wouldn't it
they'll
be
be able to
fun?
talk after the season. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Fingers
2 weeks.
crossed, because I would definitely love to speak with Flick and Gabby, and then Paco and Maury eventually after they win the whole season.
That would be
That
glorious.
too needs to win, y'all. Come on.
That would be glorious.
I'm not gonna hide it.
I don't know.
It's
Do we
gotta
ever?
be.
I don't know if we would be that lucky though. I think it looks to me like it's gonna be a Heath and Tony. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming it's Angel and Frankie are the winners.
Well, no,
It's their race to lose.
it is a race to lose. I think that they've been the most consistent. Have they finished like below third once, I think, and that was like the leg that she was awake for 30 hours. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that it's a race to lose. But it seems as though Heath and Tony, they just won 2 back-to-back legs. You know, they have a great story.
That's true.
I just
Yeah,
feel
I
like
mean, they weren't so strong early on, but
they've definitely gotten better.
they're getting there. So, all right. I mean, I'm not going to hate that. They're a decent team. So, yeah, I think if Angel and Frankie, Paco Mori, Heath and Tony win, that makes
Those are
sense to
obviously my
me.
tops.
And then I'm not going to hate a cop win or a teacher win, honestly,
Teacher
because
Kelly, you really want Kelly to win?
I mean, he's driving me crazy, but he's not being horrible at the task. So,
well, it's a slingshot.
He was missing something with that slingshot. I don't know what that problem was. Okay, Ellen is saying next week is finals week. But you said there's not 5 episodes next week, Ellen. So just Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then a finale on Sunday, just one more episode. What are we on? 17, 18, 19, 20. So 21 episodes. That makes sense.
21.
Yeah.
That's a lot of episode when you're used to like 13.
All right. Well, whatever it is, Chantele and I will be here getting through it.
Yeah, no, should be fine. I'm okay because I'm going back to flying, and so it's all my requalifications next week, and so every day I'm doing trainings. But I think it should be fine. 5 p.m. is the latest that I'll be there, and then when I have to do like the overnight drills, that's on Friday, so we'll be fine. We're good.
Well, so Tuesday
Thursday.
We are definitely good, right? Tuesday,
I believe Tuesday I'll be done. And probably earlier, like I'm scheduled from 9 to 5. It's by the airport, so give it 2 hours so to get home. So yeah, I should be fine. I might be late.
I need to push it later, actually.
Okay, good.
I need to do 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. your time.
That should
Does that
be
work
fine. It's 2 episodes of stupid. I mean, The Amazing Bachelor in Paradise. So it's 2 hours. Yeah, this would only probably be. Oh, it's like 3 episodes. Yeah, it would be.
Of Amazing Race, yes.
So, okay, yeah, no, that should still work. I'll just push my Bachelor in Paradise to either later or the next day.
You guys love watching us plan out our schedule.
You're seeing how our minds work.
We'll let you know what we finally decide here, but that sounds like it might be it. Okay. So yes, definitely on Tuesday, and then we'll get back to you and figure out what the finale is, if that is legit.
Sunday, I won't be able to. Oh, wait, it's Sunday their time. So Monday. Gotcha. Never mind.
Yeah, we might be able to do Monday. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for figuring out a Saturday for us and making that work for these extra 2 episodes. We're almost there, guys. We're almost
there. I want to see the conclusion. Like,
yeah, I do.
I want it to be Paco and Maury. Like, just give that to me, please.
I mean, I definitely want it to be Paco and Maury, but I'm okay with some other people. But I definitely want the hubbies to win. Come on.
They are just so lovely.
They're the best. They're the
so
best.
Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And if you're Australian and couldn't wake up for this, then let us know how you're feeling in the comments. And we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Bye.